Hi, I'm Mel Pickup, Chief Executive of Bradford Teaching Hospitals, and welcome to this week's roundup of news from across the Trust. We can all be a bit more optimistic this week. The government's roadmap out of lockdown takes us just another step closer towards returning to normal life, and that will be absolutely fantastic. Today, I'm in the hub used by our multi-agency integrated discharge team, which is pivotal to patient care. I'll explain why in a moment. Also, we find out how providing continuity of care benefits mums and babies. And we thank Trust staff who've been working in a very different way during the pandemic to help support our services. But first, creating a safe discharge for our patients is critical in making sure they continue to recover well outside of hospital. Organising things that make that happen needs a joined-up approach, something we've been pioneering in Bradford for many years. Here's lead nurse Gail Harney and Karen McCreesh from Bradford's Council Health and Wellbeing team to explain further.
The service is a multi-agency integrated discharge team. We're called MADE for short. It's a mixture of health, social care, voluntary sector and therapy coordinators. We have worked together to ensure that the patients have the correct care when they're discharged home.
It's important that we work in partnership with colleagues in the hospital in order that we can look at people's needs in a holistic way, what support they have available in their community from their families, and that way we can help them to plan if they need support on discharge.
I've worked for the multi-integration team for the past 4 years. It's ensuring the assessments are done completely and thoroughly for all patients coming into the hospital to help a safe discharge, communicating with the discharge team, the ward staff and families to make sure that appropriate discharge is done.
80% of discharges are simple, 20% are complex. There's an awful lot of complexities with health and social care. The team is needed to support the wards and making sure that the patients are in the right place at the right time.
When the pandemic hit, we've actually capitalised on what we'd already established. That's meant that discharges have been successful, which means that the bed base in the hospital has been there for people who needed treatment because of COVID.
Thanks, Gail and Karen. The team's work is so very much appreciated, particularly during the past year. Now, research shows that providing continuity of care for mums and babies from the same small team of midwives throughout pregnancy and birth and after the baby is born creates better outcomes for both. And the Continuity of Carer initiative here at the Trust is going from strength to strength. What's more, it's not only benefiting patients. Having the same midwife is good for the team. They get to build longer-term relationships with families and help them access services. Here's specialist midwife Abby Wild to tell us more.
Continuity of carer is a new way of delivering maternity care. There is a reduction in the chance of pregnancy loss. There's a reduction in the amount of interventions needed at the birth. We are leading the way really in continuity of carer throughout the region. We achieved 29% of women booked onto a pathway last month, and we are aiming to reach the majority of women being cared for by 2022. The midwives that have gone into the continuity of carer models are absolutely loving it. They really enjoy working in this way. They enjoy building relationships with women and their families, and being present at the birth when they've known that woman and her family throughout her pregnancy is incredibly rewarding.
Thanks, Abby. It's great to see how much mums and babies are being looked after so well. Now it's time to take a tour around the rest of the Trust to find out what else has been making the headlines this week. Well, I'm certainly going to be joining in with that. It sounds a great idea. Now, one of the reasons our services have kept running during COVID is thanks to the willingness and flexibility of all my colleagues here at the Trust. Many of them have swapped roles to help out. Lots of staff have volunteered to be redeployed into new jobs. They stepped out of their comfort zones and into new roles, often in their spare time. Here's Deputy Associate Director of Nursing Jo Stedman to introduce a couple of our colleagues who have helped out over the past few months.
The help that our ward staff have had from our volunteers has been absolutely invaluable. Our volunteers have come onto the wards to help being PPE guardians, helping with some of our administration tasks as in being ward clerks and with general support on the wards.
I am the PPE guardian for Ward 31. I have stepped up from my part-time cardiology role to volunteer working alongside this extremely busy COVID ward for almost a year now, ensuring that everyone is PPE compliant and staff have been fit tested prior to entering the ward. It gives me great pride to work on here after the care that was given to my grandfather on this respiratory ward.
I am the personal business manager to Mel and Max, the chair and chief exec here. And by weekend, I am a volunteer on the wards here at the hospitals. It can feel quite intimidating at first, but actually it really does make a difference to patients and relatives to just have someone there that can answer the phone, help them with FaceTime when the clinical staff are just busy looking after our patients. So I'd really recommend it to anyone.
Big thank you to you and indeed to everyone who has worked so flexibly over the past year to keep services running. We really do appreciate your contributions. Well, that's about it for today. Don't forget, we're on all the usual social media channels, so please do follow us. Looking forward to catching up with you next week. Bye-bye for now.